Hello, 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 and welcome back to Ladies Night. Yes, back to Ladies Night, where you get the woman's insights. I am your host, First Lady Tammy. So happy to be here, and so happy to be joined by my lovely ladies. Hello, ladies. How are you guys doing?
Wonderful.
Awesome, awesome.
Doing good. Thank you.
Yes.
Wonderful.
I'm so glad you guys are here again so we could do another live stream with another amazing topic. Queen, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good.
Awesome. Lovely, lovely. Okay, so today's topic is about leaders and followers. So yes, we may have some special guests popping into our stream tonight. So we're super excited if they are able to make it. And even if they're not, it still won't be amazing because the ladies on here are amazing. So why wouldn't it be? Hello. But if you are tuning into this, whether it's right now, whether it's after it's done, please feel free to like the video, please feel free to share it, and tune back in every Saturday because we are here every Saturday at 5:30. So make sure you also subscribe to Knowledge and Relationships because the channel is just amazing. So anywho, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started with our very first question of the night. Our very first question. I'm super excited. So first question is, what do you think is one of the number one qualities that a leader should have? And then if you ladies could please expand on why you chose that word of choosing. So, I mean, I'll go first. I'll give you guys a little bit of time to think about what you might want to say. I would say one of the number one qualities I think would be accountability. And I say that because, you know, as leaders, you know, sometimes we do make mistakes and that's okay, but you have to be able to be accountable for the mistakes that you made. And also as a leader, you have to be able to hold other people accountable and make sure that they want to be held accountable. So, you know, some people choose not to do that. And that's where things turn out not that great because some people choosing to take accountability is making yourself vulnerable and make yourself open to what other people have to say in their opinions. And some people don't want to do that, but you have to be willing to do that if you're going to be a leader. Hold yourself accountable, but also hold those other people accountable. So I think that would be probably for me, that would be one of the number one qualities, not necessarily the only number one, because I feel like there's many, many, many qualities that a leader should have. But for me, I feel like that definitely is a quality that a leader definitely has to have. So let's see, we're going to start with Mrs. M3. What do you think is one of the number one qualities that a leader should have?
in my mind, I'm going through like two of them. I'm going to stick with flexibility, although flexibility. Yeah, be flexible. My first thought was compassionate, be compassionate. I guess if you're compassionate, you're going to be flexible. Like sometimes you have to build this plane while you fly it. And in that regard, you and your staff or you and the people that are your support are helping you build it as you go. So there has to be room for mistakes, like you were saying.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you, Mrs. M3. Appreciate your feedback as always. Lou and Miss Petty Penny, what would you say would be a number one quality that a leader has to have? What do you think?
Patience. Patience, because you have to learn people first, and you have to give other people the chance to learn you. This is going to take time. This is going to take your patience. This is going to take your strength as well to learn these people. Do you want to be around these people? Is this something that, are these people someone I want to learn from? Can they learn from me? The reason why I say that is because me, doing the work that I do, it requires a lot of patience from not just the patients, but from your coworkers and people that you just work with in general.
Nice, nice. I like that answer. And so, by the way, you guys, after everybody gives their answer, I have a follow-up answer to that. So just hold on to what you said as the number one. I have a follow-up question to that I think you guys might find very interesting. But yes, and Mr. Hall of Fame is tuning in. He says, sometimes a leader, you got to make decisions that aren't popular, but you can't let that stop you from making the right decisions. I like that, absolutely. And sometimes those decisions, like he said, they're not going to make you popular. Sometimes going to make it where nobody likes you, wants to deal with you. But as a leader, that is part of your responsibility.
Right.
That's something that you're going to have to do. And some leaders are not willing. Some people that call themselves leaders, I'll say, are not willing to do that. So that is a really good thing. Thank you for tuning in, Mr. Hall of Fame. Appreciate your comments. Thank you very much. All righty, next we have Miss Danielle. Miss Danielle, what do you think is one of the number one qualities you need to have as a leader?
So I also thought compassionate, actually. But I decided to go with being a good listener.
Mm-hmm.
Because along with being compassionate and, being flexible and being patient, to learn the people that you're working with, you also have to listen to them as part of learning them, because to lead a person, you have to know what they like, what they don't like, what are their triggers, what helps them learn better, what makes them want to follow you. And so to do that, you also have to be able to listen to them. You might even need suggestions. You can't be the leader and not be a good follower.
Right.
So you need a good mixture of the two to be able to do a good job.
I like that. I like that. I like that. To be a good leader, you have to be a good follower. I like that, Danielle. I like that. Okay. I see you. Okay. Next, we have Kris. Lovely Kris. What do you think is one of the number one qualities you need to have to be a good leader?
I would say they have to be reasonable. They have to understand what tools they have. And they also have to kind of be logical in the sense that typically leaders are big idea people. Like they come up with this big idea, they want it, they're driven, they're ready to go, but they don't make sure that they have everything that they need to get it done. Or they overestimate what their team can do. And so I feel as though being reasonable will make sure that you're more efficient, more effective in your approach. And so on top of everyone else, on top of what everyone else has already said, I like to add reasonable.
Nice. Thank you, Kris. Thank you very much. All righty. Lastly, but not leastly, Miss Queen, what do you think is one of the number one qualities you need to have in order to be a good leader?
I would say humility, because because you're in that role doesn't mean that you can't learn from someone else.
Right.
And I think when people get in roles or have titles or letters behind their names, they can become very arrogant, like they have arrived and they're unteachable. And I think you can learn from anyone. So I think humility and learning from the team. And I don't know what the word would be to draw out other people's strengths. So I think that's a great quality to have in a leader, someone who can see the strength in someone else and draw it out of them and nurture that.
Thank you, Queen. Thank you very, very much. Yes, humility, definitely a huge thing. And that's really, where age really is nothing but a number, because there's grown people that have no idea what it means to practice humility. So, yes, definitely a quality of a leader. Absolutely. So we have some comments that are coming through from some people that we know. So, Mr. Gator Girl is tuning in. Hey, Gator Girl. She says, "Peace, ladies, and chat at DJ Eddie King. A party is not a school. Come on, fam. LMAO." So that is in response to the comment that DJ Eddie King says. He says, "Dr. Umar Johnson has done it. Today's the day. The school is ready. What do y'all think about that?" We would love to comment about that, but our stream today is about women empowerment and leaders and followers.
That
That's what we're
part.
talking about. So as much as I'd love to discuss, you're one of your favorite people, we are not going to lean to that understanding. No, we are not going to lean to that understanding, because we have some lovely things to talk about now. So maybe, possibly, we can talk about that later. I don't know. I'm not guaranteeing anything. Just saying. Dr. Umar Johnson, that's not really a part of what we're doing right now. So,
Unless
but I
he's
appreciate your
transgender.
comments. I always appreciate your comment. And yes, MarioMarion, that's where we go with that. Yes, we do. Absolutely. Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So yes, very nice. Thank you. I did want to say, so the word that you ladies chose, do you feel that you possess that quality? And in what ways have you demonstrated that quality? So think about that quality that you chose. Do you feel like you possess that quality? And in what ways have you demonstrated that? Now, for me personally, I feel like I haven't always demonstrated being accountable. I think it's something that you have to learn. It's not something that you automatically do, but I feel like it takes maturity to learn that. And it takes maturity to even be willing to hold other people accountable, because especially when you care about people so much, especially as friends, I know for some female friends that I have, and even in the past, sometimes I agree with them, oh girl, it's okay. You ain't got to strip about that, knowing that what they doing might not be the right thing. It might not be the right choice. And that's the thing, is that sometimes you even have to hold your friends accountable when you know that they're doing something wrong. And sometimes it's hard for us to do that. But I feel like I've had to learn how to do that. That wasn't something I automatically did. Even holding myself accountable, taking responsibility for the things that I've done wrong, I haven't been able to always do that. But I felt like once I did, I felt more empowered. And I felt like that helped me to move forward in everything that I was trying to do. So I feel like taking accountability wasn't always something I did. It was something that I learned to do with my maturity, and it's something that I continue to do, which is why I think I like constructive criticism, because it helps me to do better in every area that I am working on. So I've had to learn it. I'll admit that I wasn't always going to hold myself accountable, and there's times when I haven't held other people accountable, but I've grown and I've done better. And that's sometimes what you have to do, is you have to allow yourself to grow and mature and be able to do those things that it takes to be a person in a leadership position. So yes, I feel for me, it happened later. It didn't happen at first. So let's see. Miss Danielle, for the quality that you chose, do you feel like you possess that? And in what ways have you demonstrated that quality?
Sometimes I listen well. Sometimes I just don't want to hear it. Being a mother, you're also a leader. I have 4 boys I'm raising, so I definitely have to listen to them. I don't try to stifle their voice or their emotions. So if they're feeling something, I definitely ask them, like, how are you feeling? Why do you feel that way? Like, what can we do? Not only do I want them to know the feeling, I want them to be able to figure out a way to get out of that feeling. So I feel like that's how I am listening and leading my male children to be aware of what's going on, to not be ashamed of having emotion.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Thank you very much, Danielle. I'm going to pause real quick because we have a guest. Would our guest like to introduce herself? Oh, you are muted, ma'am. We cannot hear you. Can you please unmute? We love to hear your voice.
Thank you,
There
because
you go.
I couldn't remember passwords. I don't know if I was having a senior moment, a hot flash, or what was going on. It was a mess trying to get onto this show. But thank you for allowing me to join in. My name is Jeanette Ebony, and I am a licensed marriage family therapist, as well as the owner of 2 outpatient counseling centers and a radio podcast host. So I do a lot of different things. So this is my first time. I saw this information on social media, and I just wanted to be a part of it and join in with you ladies tonight.
Oh, I'm so happy you are here. I'm so happy you are here. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, I'm so happy to see you. This is amazing. I love when people come on that are not on here every Saturday. I love it when we have guests because it's always nice to get, the input from people that are not on here every time that we do it. It's always nice to get different perspectives. It's lovely. So the question we're discussing now is, what do we think is one of the number one qualities you need to be a leader? And then we're talking about, do you possess that quality? And in what ways have you demonstrated that quality? So I'm going to give you a little bit of time to think about it because you just popped in.
I already know my answer.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll go ahead. If nobody else knows, we'll go ahead and come to you. And then we'll go to other people. So is everybody's cool with that? Everybody cool with that? Our lovely guests? All right. So, yes.
This is what I tell individuals, because I am also, like I said, I've been the owner of an outpatient counseling center, the Center for the Treatment of Addiction, for 16 years. And I've been the owner of J.A. Precious, Inc. for 11 years. So I didn't set out to be a business owner. I really didn't. I wanted to be an attorney, retire as a judge. But I learned that I possessed leadership qualities when I was a very young child. I used to say I'm too old for peer pressure. But one of the things that I've learned in regards to being a leader is you also have to know when to follow. You cannot walk around having the big head and making sure that everything you do is what's supposed to be done now. But you are supposed to have confidence within yourself and be competent enough to know what's going on in your whole organization. I had an accountant tell me one time, you pay for what you don't know. So I learned that I don't need to know everything, but I'm not going to go in as if I know nothing. So, but I also know when to take a back seat. And also, being a good leader, you also have to know how to delegate and how to encourage and empower your team.
I like that. That I definitely like the part about encourage. I like a lot of things that you said, especially about encouraging, because I feel like sometimes people don't know how to encourage their team. And so I feel like there's some leaders that don't think that that's something that they need to do.
That part right there.
Yeah.
Because they believe that I'm the owner, I'm the boss, you do what I say, or not as I do. The problem is it breaks down the whole structure. And you can't lead if you don't have nobody to lead. Right. And you want them to respect you. And so therefore, that helps to build a stronger foundation. So those are some of the things that I learned, because even being the owner, I remember one time I hired my aunt. And my aunt told me, I heard her say, well, you're not supposed to like the boss. I'm like, but you're my auntie. So you have to also set boundaries and healthy boundaries. That's very important.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ms. Jeanette. Thank you very much. All righty, we're going to go on to Miss Luann Love. So that quality that you stated, do you feel you possess that quality? In what ways have you demonstrated that quality?
Well, my quality was patience, and it was a definitely not something that I was born with, but something that I um, had to learn really quickly, especially in the industry that I do. But, becoming, a business owner and having employees, it takes a lot of patience to deal with other people's personalities,
Mhm.
especially when I have my own personality, and, I'm a Leo, so I'm a leader by just by birth, like popped out as a leader. So for me, um, yeah, yeah, it's perfect. Thank you, Mario. Yeah, so being as perfect as I am, I have to also know that other people may not possess that.
Mhm.
So patience is a key for me. Patience is a big key, and Mary Jane also helps with that a little bit. So um, that also gives me the joy to just sit and listen and be more patient with you. I'm just being
Wait. I'm gonna say, I
I'm
did
just
say I
being
own an
hundred
outpatient
percent
counseling center. What
honest, you
was
guys.
rehab?
I really
Okay.
am being 100% honest. But just but because I love what I do, that also gives me joy. But the other side of it, of dealing with the people that I have to work with, that requires a lot of strength and a lot of patience, especially amongst us African American women. That I've learned that some of us, or some women, just do not want to work for you because you're black.
Yeah.
And I learned that, which was something that was really kind of hard for me. So patience. And yes, I am learning that every day.
If
Every
you don't,
day.
Awesome.
if you don't mind, I
Thank
want
you.
to on something. One of the things too that helps with being a leader that I had to learn was acknowledging defense mechanisms. Because if you
Hmm.
have an understanding of defense mechanisms, you know if an individual, because we always think that they're being defensive and we think about denial, but we don't look at projection, sublimination, repression. We don't know what a person has been through when they come to work for us. Now, we
Right.
are not there to babysit them, but we do want to have empathy and understand the difference between empathy and sympathy. But when you understand defense mechanism, you will also be having to know if they're projecting their stuff onto you or if you may be projecting yourself onto them. That helps with the balance, the boundaries, and all of that. And you won't take things personal. Because a lot of times we take things personal. Even when we're in leadership and we're supposed to be the leader.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for that. So real quick, we have Gator Girl who is making some comments. She made a comment responding to Luann. She said that patience is an underrated quality. So yes, definitely. She said patience is a good one. Patience is a good one. I believe it
Mhm.
because, whew, when you're dealing with other people, that's just that's just something you have to have, even when you're not at work. I mean,
Mhm.
I got road rage, so patience is not my thing when I'm driving. I'm just saying. So I
And
have
you
to
know what?
practice
Especially
that.
with the
I got
road
to.
rage, Tammy, with the road rage, I would follow people. I really did follow people because I wanted to ask, why did you just cut me off? Or why did you just flip me off? It becomes your life. And I've heard stories where people have gotten killed. And
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
my mom is like really hardcore on me with that. Like, you shouldn't do that. Are you crazy? Yeah. Because at
Mm-hmm.
that moment, I'm not thinking. And so, yeah, yeah, just listening to, something on the radio, or just saying, okay, that person is just an idiot. Patience has to kick in.
Thank you, Luann. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and go to Kris. So the quality that you stated, do you feel you possess that, and in what ways have you demonstrated that?
In a way, I feel like I've always been fairly understanding of other people, and I've been able to learn who they are, like their personalities, their characteristics. However, in other ways, I had to learn how to be more reasonable, and this came in when I started to do my femininity journey. A big part of that is emotional intelligence. And it's understanding how to be reasonable while you're emotional. And the example that they use is that if you get into a car accident, let's say it's your fault, and the other person who you hit is like going crazy because they're so mad at you for hitting them. Even though you hit them, the cop, when they come, they'll probably talk to you if you're calm. They don't want to talk to the crazy person. And so learning how to be reasonable in the way that I express myself, making sure that I'm thinking things through to make sure that it makes sense, that it fits the environment. And that when I act on this, I'm going to get the best result possible. And so I didn't always have it. I'm learning it now, and I feel like I'm a lot better than I used to be. Over these last like 3.5 years, I've definitely, I think, improved in this area.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you, Kris. Thank you for that. All righty. We're going to go to Mrs. M3. For the quality you stated, do you feel you possess that? And in what ways have you demonstrated that?
I said compassion, which stems and lends itself towards flexibility. I think it sounds like for all of us, we chose things that we've worked on from what I hear. And Miss Jeanette is dropping gems, so thank you for that. It's hard to hear her, but I want to just eat up everything she's sharing. I think for me to be compassionate, it took a lot. I'm very on the edge type A personality. My upbringing, my education first, church first, kind of personality and the role models that I had in my life. So for me to find that compassion, I think it took me seeing people that needed me as opposed to just assuming everybody can figure it out for themselves, which is how I was brought up, like figure it out or you get in a spanking kind of thing. But I think for the most part, I now am compassionate, whereas, even probably I can think 5 years ago, coming into teaching high school, I was very rigid with my students, very do this way or take the fail, and that's not a way to be. And I learned that I think a lot on the job and a lot in my own life with my family, my friends, and just lending my understanding to the fact that, when I was growing up, I didn't like having to figure things out for myself. I did appreciate the people like my uncles that were in my life that, took the extra time and molded and instead of scolding, So I've learned to have that compassion, and it lends me to be able to mold people better, young people especially.
Thank you, Mrs. M3. Thank you for that. Mr. Hall of Fame has a question that he stated. I don't see it right now. I'm sure it'll pop up in a second because he'd like his question answered. I don't mind answering if it pops up for us. He's asking about Mrs. Kris, your book. I know you had stated about a book. When is your book coming out?
I don't know. He keeps asking about this book. Hopefully soon. I don't know. I didn't even think about really. We'll see. Hopefully maybe next year. Maybe I'll start writing something next year. It won't really be a book. It'll be more so of like a work along journal, I guess.
Yeah.
I
mean, I'm sure when you're ready for your book to come out, you'll let everybody know. So,
yes.
It's not going to be a secret. Everybody's going to know when she's ready to tell you. So she ain't told you yet. She ain't ready to tell you yet. So yes, thank you very much. Thank you. All righty, we have one more person, Mrs. Queen. The quality that you stated, do you feel you possess that? And in what ways have you demonstrated that?
Well, I definitely think I was forced to demonstrate humility being in the mental health field and at the facility that I was at. I had no choice. But I do think that I do think it's a work in progress. It's always, I can always learn something. So I think sometimes I can just have to step back, take a deep breath and go, no, okay, I know I've been doing this thing this way for so long, I can, that's a new way. Okay, let's give it a try. Um, I think I've seen it in what I've given to, or suggestions I've given to situations in dealing with the clientele that I deal with in the mental health field, and also being willing to uh, be open to going to trainings and saying, hey, I know I took that, but I think I could use some more training in this area. And, also being willing to learn different styles, even if it's something I may not agree with. So, yeah. So I think it's just like just a work in progress. And I think also with drawing people out, I think when we have our collaboration meetings, you know, I think my whole team is very good at saying, well, I see this about you, and I see this about you. Have you ever thought about doing this? Or, so I think the coworkers I work with intimately, we're really good at drawing each other out. So.
Nice. Thank you, Miss Queen. Thank you for that. I wanted to go to what you said, Mrs. M3, about compassionate. It's interesting because I think, because you're a teacher and I'm a teacher as well, and I think that sometimes people think that teachers are automatically, I think that there's certain qualities they feel like you automatically possess depending on the field you're in, and that's not always the case. I feel like that's why some people don't last in that particular field, because those qualities that you need to possess in order to be a leader in that field and be successful in that field, those are not automatic things that you just have. Those are things that you get as you get older. You grow into those things, and some people don't have that. And I mean, I've known some teachers that are not compassionate. I know some teachers that do not understand what it means to be compassionate. So it's interesting that you say that, because I feel that there are just some qualities that, depending on your field, there's some that, yeah, there are definitely some you should have, but there's some people that just don't happen to have those. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for your input. Before we go to question number 2, does anybody have anything they would like to add before we move on to the next question?
I want to say something in regards to when you're talking about being a good leader, it's honesty. When you're an honest individual and you're going to do the right thing no matter what, other people under you will respect you. Because what you're doing is preparing them for leadership so that you can pass the throne down. You don't have to stay on top forever. But you want to make sure that you build a good, strong team. Because that's why leaders are leaders, so that they can coach, encourage, and empower other individuals. Otherwise, who are you leading? And individuals won't respect you, and you won't get things done. So they make you look good, and then let them know you appreciate it. And that goes a very long way. So the leader also has to be teachable and coachable and have good listening skills. A lot of times we think, well, I'm here, you're there, I don't need to listen to you. I can learn a lot from anybody.
That's true. That's a very, very true statement. And I think sometimes people get in that leadership position, and all of a sudden they think
they lose their mind.
Yeah, they lose their mind, and they think, oh, you below me. I ain't gonna listen to nothing that you say, you below me. But no, like you said, you can learn anything from anyone. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. All right.
I was going to say really quickly, I think, especially in the social work field that I'm in, I think people need to be reevaluated after a year or two and be told, hey, I think you need to go to the administration, or you don't need to be working with no clients because you are just not the one right now. Not that you get fired, but I think there needs to be places where people get reevaluated. I really think that, because there's some social workers that I know that I've heard of, and I'm like, how in the world are you still doing this field? Like, you just don't have and everyone knows it. So that's what blows my mind, is that they've been there 20 years and everybody knows that they may not like Black people, and their whole caseload is Black, or, and they make statements about, so how are you really serving the clientele and doing your best job. Like every job gets reevaluated. Like, it's like driving a truck. You can't be a truck driver and be drunk and crash every day. You're gonna get fired. So I think everyone needs to be reevaluated.
Mm-hmm. And well, part of that too is addressing countertransference issues. A lot of people don't know what that means, especially depending on what kind of job you have. Because I hear you saying the mental health social workers, they should be aware of what transference is versus countertransference. But then you have individuals that are in finance or working in law enforcement that have leadership positions. So part of that is countertransference and being open to address your biases. Some individuals don't even know that they have biases about things, and having an understanding of cultural diversity. That's something that's growing, and educating individuals about mental health, because there's so many stereotypes and taboos out there. So in order to be a leader, you have to know when to call a person to the side and say, hey, I'm kind of noticing, and do it in a way that you're being sensitive so that they don't become defensive, but you're trying to teach them something. And if you're not really pointing it out, but you're addressing the issue.
Thank you. Thank you, Queen, and thank you, Ms. Jeanette. Thank you, guys. I love the feedback. I love it. All righty, we're going to go to question number 2. We're going to go ahead and go to question number 2 and keep this conversation going, because it's going lovely. Question number 2 says, what does leading look like outside of the workplace, such as in the home? And does leading look the same everywhere? So I would say, if I'm talking about with friends, and I said it a minute ago, and I said about accountability and holding friends accountable, I feel that you have to, I feel like as far as leading when it's outside the workplace, if we're talking about friends, is holding those friends accountable and letting them know when they are wrong. And if you are a real friend, you are going to be okay telling somebody you're close to, no, that wasn't okay, what you did, rather than just going along with it. Because I feel like sometimes we don't just point out other people's faults that we're close to. We just go along and say, oh, girl, don't even worry about that. It's cool. If your friend tells you about something that they're doing that is not okay, you have to be willing to say, you know what, I love you, but yeah, that's not okay. Even with me being a mom, as being a leader, is about being a parent rather than a friend, because as my daughter gets older, yeah, we can do the friendship thing, but I'm her mother. So she needs to understand that I'm her mother. She's my child, and I need to lead her in the way she needs to go. So even when I talk about discipline with her, I try to help her to understand why I chose to discipline her the way that I do. And I want her to understand that the different steps that it took for us to get to where we are, and not always agreeing to let her do everything that she wants to do. So I feel like I've seen that being a teacher about the parent that decides to be a friend rather than a parent. I've seen it where you have one parent that's being a parent and the other where they're trying to be a friend, and it is very detrimental to those kids. And some people don't see it that way. So it's just interesting. I feel like there's so many different ways outside of the workplace that you can practice your leadership. But yeah, so for me, I feel like when you are with your friends, there are certain things you can do that could show you as more of a leader rather than a follower, making decisions that are sometimes hard to make. If you're in a situation that you know is not okay, and your friend wants to stay there, which I've been in this situation with some friends where I had to tell her, like, no, this is not okay. We finna leave. And she didn't understand why. You are old enough, but apparently not mature enough to know what is and isn't the right thing to do. So I'm going to take it upon myself to help you understand that. And like I said, as being a mom, you have to practice that leadership role every single day, from the day they're born to the day when one of you is no longer here. And even after that, you would hope that your kids would be able to show the type of leadership skills that you would help them to develop. So that's my response. I'm going to go around our lovely, lovely group and ask each of our lovely ladies, what does leadership look like outside of the workplace? Miss Luann Love, what does leadership look like to you outside of the workplace?
A lot. Come back to me, because I'm still thinking.
I got you. Don't even
That's a
worry.
big question, actually. Yeah,
It is. It is.
leadership, what it looks like.
You
All
want,
that we said: patience, accountability, acceptance, honesty. I want you to communicate. I want you to let me know what I'm supposed to do. Like if I'm going, for instance, if I'm going into a store, I want you to do your job. Number one, if I walk in, I want you to say, "Hey, how you doing? Welcome to Ross." I want to feel I want to feel accepted. I think that's a leadership. I think I want you to show those qualities.
thank you, Mrs. Luann. I just wanted to say something real quick. I'm gonna go to everybody else. So I will say, for me, good customer service is demonstrating leadership, and even something as simple. And this is gonna sound silly to some people. Even something as simple as putting the shopping cart back in to where the shopping carts go.
Right.
Um, it drives me nuts when I go to my car and I see the shopping carts all over the place. And the thing for the shopping carts to go is right there, maybe feet away,
Well,
and
if
you
it's
don't
by
even
my
take
car,
the
I ain't tripping.
time to put it. I mean, I lose my mind because I'm just. I mean, it's maybe 10 feet away. You can't walk 10 feet to go put it away. I mean, it's gonna. But you that lazy that you can't walk 10 feet to go put the shopping cart away. I mean, for me, it blows my mind. Blows my mind. Blows my mind. And customer service is very lacking. My brother is visiting from Germany, and he was very surprised about the customer service I got at Walmart because he said he hasn't seen a lot of customer service since he's been here. But I feel like that is something that is very lacking, and even good customer service is about showing is part of showing leadership. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah.
That's when you said about welcome to Ross. That's what that made me think of. So
Thank
yes,
you.
And a
thank you.
leader is going to think 10 steps ahead. So,
Mhm.
if you don't like walking those 10 steps, just like, park your car by the little corral. And when you come back, it's right there by the car. Put it you know, in the corral.
Well,
Yes, thank you. Mr. Hall of Fame says, I never put the shopping cart back. Nah, I got stuff to do. Okay, you got stuff to do. We
I'm
know what
with
that says
him.
about you, Mr. Hall of Fame. Just saying. I'm not gonna say anything else, but I'm just saying there is a word starts with an L, ends with a Y. And if you ain't willing to put the shopping cart away, I don't know
Girl,
what to tell you. So
just call his
you
butt
telling on
lazy. We
yourself,
all know
Mr.
what
Hall
it
of
is.
Fame. You telling on himself. Don't tell on yourself, Mr. Hall of Fame. Don't do it. Don't do it. All righty. So I'm gonna go to Kris. So Kris, what does leadership look like outside of the workplace?
I think it's more action based outside the workplace. I feel like in the workplace, a lot of stuff is more communication driven. You really want to make sure that people hear you, that when you speak, you're being heard, and make sure that you're speaking clearly, and that people feel open to communicate with you in return. I feel like at home, however, you're more so, it's more so in your actions. The way you lead is in your actions, your ability to humble yourself, lean back when you need to, step up when you need to, but it's not necessarily in your words, not necessarily in what you say. Also, I feel like it's for a woman in particular, it's in maintaining a healthy and peaceful environment. It's having some control over your household. Like I was saying before, just being reasonable and having some grace to make sure that your household is a safe place for you and your family. You're the one who's guiding that, and also being able to relay your culture onto your children to make sure that they can go into the world with a good set of values, a good set of morals, that you're acting those out as well. And so yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I think those are like the main things.
Thank you, Miss Kris. Thank you very much. All righty, we're gonna go to Miss Jeanette. Mrs.
Okay.
Jeanette, what do you think leadership look like outside of the workplace?
Well, outside of the workplace, you got to have balance. And by having that balance, you have to be able to separate work from home. And a lot of times individuals struggle with that because of your character and your characteristics in regards to, are you a born leader? Are you honest? Are you trustworthy? because self-esteem plays a role. Because your self-esteem at home may be different from your self-esteem at work, meaning how you value yourself. And when you're in a relationship or when you're married, that becomes an issue because me being a therapist, dating a therapist, or being married to a therapist, I don't want to psychoanalyze everybody. So sometimes what happens is they will think that I'm being a therapist or you're not my boss, even if I'm talking to my grandkids. So I have to make sure that that balance is clear, that they
Mhm.
know I'm not trying to be your boss. I want to chill. I want to be at home. I want to break. I don't want to do therapy. I don't want to talk. I don't want to do all of that. So you
Mhm.
have to know who you are and where you are because you don't want to be talking to someone and bossing them around or doing these things. You're at home now. Chill, relax.
Mhm.
Because, like I said, I know my personality and I know I'm a very strong willed individual. But when I go to work, sometimes I could be more laid back. So you
Mhm.
just got to know, like I said, who you are and where you are.
Thank you, Mrs. Jeanette. I like that. I like that, and it's interesting. I know there have been times when I haven't been able to separate the two because I'm a teacher. And when my daughter comes to me with work, I kind of have to take a little step back and not be in the teacher mode. I need to be
Mm-hmm.
more in the parent mode. So it sometimes it does become a little bit difficult. But that I feel like even that is something that takes some
Mm-hmm.
work.
Yeah,
Sometimes
because as a
it is
woman,
hard.
especially as a black
Yeah.
woman, we wear so many hats.
Yeah.
And we're going to be labeled anyway, and people already
Mm,
have so many different perspectives, and
yeah.
especially with the type of job you have. I got my friend over here now putting my pool table together, and he'll swear I'm bossy. So, like, you're not the boss of me, you know. So I have to make sure that I'm okay with, because you can't control what other people think and feel or how they feel about
Mhm.
you, but you got to know what you're projecting onto them too. So I don't want
Mhm.
to come home and I got to be the boss at home even though I know I got to have this balance, this structure, got to make sure things get
Mhm.
done, but it's going to be perceived as if you always try to tell somebody what to do, or and not only just at home, even with your relatives, your
Mm.
siblings, they're going to see you and judge you based on what you do.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that role
Yeah.
don't go anywhere. You just put on another hat.
Mhm. That's true. Thank you, Mrs. Jeanette. Thank you very much. I really like everything that you just said. Thank you. We're going to go to Danielle. Danielle, what do you think leadership looks like outside of the workplace?
Well, my workplace is being a nurse. So being a leader at work is kind of the same as being a leader at home. At work, as the nurse, I have to be compassionate. I have to listen. I have to be patient. I have to absolutely be flexible. That's like the main thing they tell you in nursing school. You have to know yourself and you have to be able to teach people and learn how to be approachable and allow like people to want to come to you, be open. And I have to do those same things at home, being a mom and a wife. So I really don't have a difference for me being at work and being at home. Um, my friend Kris, shout out to the high value nurse, he asked me that. He was like, being a nurse is just like being a mom, and you are a mom and a wife. Like, how do you do that? Because when I get home, I don't want to do none of that no more. And I think the difference is the gratitude I get at work is payment of cash. I also enjoy building those relationships, but I'm not even gonna lie, it's the payment. Like that's what I'm there for.
There you go.
Um, but when I come home,
Give me my check.
please. But when I come home, I'm not looking for payment in cash. I'm looking for a payment of love. I'm looking to have my cup refilled. Although I'm doing those same things, they love me. So they're doing those things in return. Hopefully, I'm doing a good job that they see what I'm doing and they learn from me and they return it to me. And I can say that my children do an awesome job. They come and give me hugs like all day. I'm not sure if y'all have seen, but when I'm on these lives, they definitely come busting in my room and give me hugs. Like they don't care what I'm doing. If they feel like they need my attention or my love, they will come in and give it to me. So for
I
me, it's
love
no
it.
difference.
I love it. I love that, Danielle.
Mhm.
Nice. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to go to Mrs. M3. What do you think leadership looks like outside of the workplace?
Specifically at home, the wife, the mom, we're the house managers, right? I mean, every manager has a boss. So our husbands, our significant others, they, hold the reins as far as, um, some, for me, the final say about things. But we make sure that it's smooth. We make sure that, they are, every member of the household feels welcome when they get home, feels loved, doesn't feel outcast, especially the world and society can give, my husband's African American or Pan African, can give them a hard time, they shouldn't have to feel that way, feel inferior in any way at their house, that's how I feel. But I'm not a mom, and I always think about it because I remember the transition when my mom gave me autonomy, and I'm, a young adult now, and everything that she had control over for the longest time, she started giving me freedoms, and some of it, I was just like resistant. Like I'm like, no, you're supposed to still be telling me what to do. Like 14 years old, I'm not going to spank you anymore. But did I get slapped sometimes? I did. Yes, I did. Probably like the butt beatings better, as opposed to getting slapped around. But I wonder for moms, I know there's two moms on the panel. At what age that transition you think will happen? Do you just know, like they're showing their independence and now they have this and that area where I'm gonna let them have the freedom, or is it just a certain number at this age? If they're still at home, I'm no longer leading them and I'm letting them be their leadership self, especially Danielle with boys, right? At some point, like they're men.
You
And
want me
so,
to
like,
help you with that one?
do the women lead a man?
They
Like
be ready.
when they're boys, you're leading them. You're the house
It don't
manager. You have
stop.
to do that,
It
but
doesn't.
at what age does that switch? I just remember when it switched for me, but I didn't like it very much because it was a little bit, oh, you're grown, okay, kind of thing. So, yeah.
Can I speak on that one for you?
Mhm.
It's from the
Yes.
cradle to the grave. I tell people, I'm glad I don't look like what I've been through. I have children,
Mm.
adult children. My son is almost 37 years old, and my
He's
daughter
single.
is 34, and
Oh
my
Lord.
oldest granddaughter turned 18 today. She is 18. But I remember when my son turned 18, I wrote on his birthday cake, "Welcome to manhood," and the sucker had to just boomerang and move back into my home. So, but the thing is, it's not about age, it's about maturity. And what happens is, parents have to learn how to parent adult children. We're not taught that. It's not once you turn 18, we through, because that's what I thought. But it don't work like that. So no matter what, I don't care if they come back to you and they're 99 years old, you may still have to guide them, redirect
Mhm.
them, let them know when they be in a hot mess. And that's what happens. It's about respect. And you're going to learn some things from them too. Because I used
Mhm.
to tell my daughter, I'm the boss until my daughter show up. Because she's been bossing me around since she was a teenager. But that's her personality, and
Mhm.
that's just who she is. So it don't have nothing to do with age. We were taught, many of us was taught wrong.
Mm. 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 It's very interesting that you say that, Mrs. Jeanette. I definitely agree that it does not stop.
Mm.
Your kids are always going to come back because they need that guidance. They're always going to come back to you because they need that guidance. But I mean, my daughter's 8, she's almost 9, but I can only imagine as she gets older, even me, I always go to my mom to talk to my mom about things. So
Mhm.
I feel like you're always constantly going to need that guidance. It's not going to be something that stops. It's going to be so, and you have to be willing to be open to that. You
Correct.
can't have an attitude that, well, you're grown. I'm not, like, you can't have that type of attitude because your
Correct.
kids there's always going to be things that they're going to need from you, and not necessarily a monetary need,
Correct.
It might not be, it's not necessarily that it's a monetary need that they have. And
Right.
you have to be the kind of parent that makes your child feel like they can come to you. I feel like sometimes some parents make their kids feel like they can't come to them, they can't talk to them. And that's so devastating when you do that, because then they have to find another place to go. And it's
Correct.
not always the right kind of place for them. So you want to be the kind of parent that your child knows that they can go to you for anything, even if they've made a mistake.
Correct.
You know, make it it's
part
okay
right
to make a
there, that's
mistake,
true.
that it's going to be fine. Because I feel that that's another thing, and I've seen it with me teaching. I've seen like how some of the parents react to their kids,
Mhm.
and you don't want your kids going somewhere else first. You don't want them to get the information first from somewhere else. You want them to want to come to you.
Mhm.
So,
Well, see, part of it is because we taught our children to fear us, not to respect us, because that's what they taught. That's what discipline back then was about, punishment, and discipline is teaching self-discipline. And we tell them we want them to be responsible, but we don't teach them how to be accountable.
right,
So we put the
right.
accountability based on you should be old enough to know. Ain't no food like an old food. So some people don't grow up, and someone was talking about that maturity and emotional maturity. Many individuals don't develop that.
That's true. That is
Because there was something wrong with the leadership.
There, and the leadership starts in the home. And
Yep.
sometimes in the home we have poor leaderships.
I mean-
Especially, I feel bad for teachers. I got a 5-year-old that's talking about he don't want to do no homework.
Right.
You 5, you just starting.
How you getting hurt by not wanting to do it?
I have homework. I still
Just
got
learn how to talk.
I know.
So it's that mindset. It's developing and changing that attitude.
Well, what I want to say is, you were saying like,
how to wipe their butt good. Yeah, talking about they don't want to do their homework.
When do you release that autonomy? I've given my children autonomy since they got here. My mother had a hard time releasing me. I didn't know that my mother was controlling until it was time to let go. But for me, I breastfed all of my children. So when they teach you to breastfeed, they tell you, now this baby is like seconds old, right? They say, your baby know when it's hungry, and they will let you know. And so in my mind, I said, well, if my child can let me know when they're hungry and let me know when they're full and let me know when they're wet, then they know about themselves, and I'm the one got to learn about them. So I let them do what they need. I let them express themselves how they want. My 2-year-old, okay, some people would feel like he being smart-mouthed. But like if you ask him a question, his answer right now for everything is because I want to or because I don't want to. Like first time I heard that, I was like, what? But then I had to pull myself back, like, hold on, he's just 2. He don't even know about having an attitude. In his mind, I asked the question, and that was the answer. And then as I thought about the 2-year-old, I said, well, that's all they are doing is doing what they want to or not doing what they don't want to do. So that's just really his answer.
And we have to respect that. My youngest grandchild is 5. When he was 2, my daughter had me babysit. I was like, I don't know about this one, because I know what type of child I was when I say strong will. It was just, I don't want to do it. So I'll never forget, I told that kid, I looked at him, he's picking stuff off the Christmas tree. I said, Ryder, I am not the one. Ryder looked at me and said, I ain't the one either. I was like, ring, ring. Somebody gonna come get him. So when I picked him up from school the other day, I gave him that look. He said, he looked at me. I said, you know we're going to jail, right? Because kids that climb on the table and you going to jail. I don't want to go to jail. They put in cages. Well, you need to be in a cage if you climbing on the floor. So the thing is, he has autonomy, but sometimes you gotta know when to reel them back in so that they won't hurt others. So you gotta find that balance, and you gotta find a way. And one of the things I want to share, what my daughter did when the teacher called, because he keeps telling the teacher no. So what she did was she used reverse psychology. He thought he was gonna get a whooping, and see, he ain't scared of the black people whooping no more. So what she did was when the teacher got off the phone, she started crying. He said, Mommy, why are you crying? She said, because you got us in trouble. Your teacher now thinks I'm a bad mommy. He said, but you're not a bad mommy. But you was acting like that, and they think I'm letting you do this. He said, Mommy, but I promise I won't do it again. But first he said, when he got off the phone, you will give me a whooping.
Hmm.
That's what you wanted. Whooping to be over.
Hmm.
I'm gonna do the same thing again.
Hmm. Thank you, Mrs. Jeanette. I like everything you. I like that story that you told. That was
I
nice.
know.
Mr. Hall of Fame has some comments that are coming in. So
Please.
I'm gonna go ahead and read those. Luan's like, please don't. But he said, children always need their parents. Some parents don't get that, especially in the Afro-Latin community. He says that homework and dishes better be done, especially before my mom gets home. Yes, I know what that's like. He said, I am never spoke back to my mom, and when I tried, I got mollywopped.
Hold on.
Especially my grandparents and my aunts, big aunt too. Yes, and see, he says he knew when to shut up. That's right. You know when to talk. You know when you shouldn't be talking. So
But
yes.
see, now you got these kids that I had taught my grandkids this, the other grandkids. I'm gonna call the CPS 911. See, I gotta be careful because I don't want this little kid to go to school and be telling the police that I did something. Now he's gonna be like, I'm gonna watch you go to jail now because I know his temperament. So we gotta find other ways to get him to think, to get him to react, so that he knows this is for him.
Right.
Because sometimes, like I told my daughter, you have to let them believe that they're in control, even though you're in control. Because people are automatically going to be resistant.
Right.
Because they don't want to. It's a lot of things they want to do. So, and you have to listen to them and find out what is that about. How you find out you don't want to do homework? You've been in school practically ever since you've been born. Now you don't want to do homework?
Thank you.
Especially boys. Boys are very disagreeable. I guess just a trait that they have, and so I think they're saying girls typically are more well behaved than boys are. Boys just don't do well with the control. They always want to resist it. So I find it interesting how you said it was your daughter who would cry
my daughter,
when the teacher.
She uses a different type of. See, I had a daughter that didn't need whoopings, but my son was different. So my son's, and parenting him, she watched him get in trouble. So she wasn't a child that gave me a lot of trouble, but she is trying to parent, and it's like, I don't want to do what my mother did. I'm trying to do things different. And so she's trying to find out what's going to work. So what I did was I just started typing her stuff and giving her information on strong-willed kids. But me being a therapist, it goes back to the home and the work. She was like, Mom, what you gonna do about this? This your grandchild. You work with other people's kids. Why you can't work with these? Because that one told me I ain't nothing to play. I ain't nothing to play with either. So I ain't messing with you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Hall of Fame said the only place I thought about was staying in the police. I bet that was. Thank you, Mr. Hall of Fame. Oh, and Mario says, we boys are very opinionated. Yes, you boys are, as we can see by the comments that are coming in, they're very opinionated. Mr. Hall of Fame says, no, he wasn't disagreeable. He said he was smart. I wasn't getting in trouble not be able to play or go outside with my homies. So like I said, everybody's entitled to their opinion. You say you were not disagreeable. It's okay. It's okay. It is about accountability. Just saying. So we're gonna get to Miss Queen to respond to that question of what does leadership look like outside of the workplace. Miss Queen, what you got?
I think everyone summed it up. I don't really have too much to say. I think it's the same. It's just a different environment. I think I forgot the therapist, her name, the lady's name next to you, First Lady, but
Mrs.
I think
Jack.
I think just I know leadership for me is making sure I don't take work home. I think that's the biggest setback. I know when I first started in the social service field, I worked in a very fast pace. I saw a lot real quick, and I didn't think I was going to make it. I thought I was going to quit my second night working at this particular organization, and me taking work home was me calling my nieces or and saying, hey, please talk to your mom, or talk to me if you go through anything. Please don't do this, because I just saw a lot, and it was very traumatic. But I think, it's just a balance. I think leadership is, it's the same. It's just a different environment, humility, being able to listen, being able to learn, you know. So I think for me is not allowing the stress of my day dictate how I come across at home. Cause I wasn't able to hold it and let it go and just drop it off at my door, my job doorstep, and say, okay, I'm getting in my car. I'm a different person now.
Yeah.
It went home with me a lot. And it was so I just started journaling. I started, praying or meditating, listening to music, or, so but I think also a way to, like what you guys were talking about a few minutes ago about, talking to kids differently and not really saying, it's called, I use it at work. It's motivational interviewing. So it's pretty much telling somebody what to do without them knowing you're telling them what to do, and they think it's their choice, because they're 9 times out of 10, they're gonna stick to it if they think it's coming from them and not you. So yeah, that's
Girl code,
what I
Cornelia.
use.
Girl code. Girl code.
I know.
Thank you, Miss Queen. So DJ Eddie King is tuning in. Thank you for tuning in, DJ Eddie King. And for anybody else who's tuning in, please make sure that you like and share this video because you know you love it. And make sure you subscribe to Knowledge and Relationships because it's so amazing, just like us beautiful ladies on here. He says, do you think children will call the police and lie on their parents because they can't get what they want? In answer to that question, I would say, I think it's possible that kids will do that, but I think something things do come down to parenting, and I feel like if you parent your child in a way where they understand why they're not able to get what they want, I think it can earn a different result. I mean, I do believe there's some kids that will call the police because they can't get what they want, but there is a way to parent and there's a way not to parent. And I feel like you have to understand what both of those are in order to be successful. And I think just with anything, any job that you have, there's a way to do it and there's a way not to do it. So you need to learn both so you understand which one is the right one and which one is not. Mrs. Jeanette, yes.
I wanted to answer that question because I also do the 52-week child abuse intervention prevention program.
Exactly.
So because I offer those classes, which also includes a parenting component, things like that have happened to where a lot of times kids don't do well with consequences. And sometimes kids can be coached to lie too. And then being a social worker, and the social worker has to go out on that call to find out if it's a voluntary case or if it's going to be criminal charges against the parents in regards to them having to do a program. There have been cases where children have lied. And because we threaten the kids so much, like I said, and we got to be mindful with that. Even with me telling my grandson, I'm going to take him to the police department. So when you threaten them, they can flip the scripts and turn on you too. But then you realize how long you going to be here and you ain't got anybody to take care of you. Who going to pay these bills? Who going to feed you? So the answer to that is in some cases, depending on the child, but you want to try to let your child know that there are consequences, but you don't want the child to cover up things if the child is actually being abused. There's a difference between discipline and abuse. And if you're disciplining your children, you don't want to do it when you're angry or you're upset because it can easily turn into abuse. And that's traumatic for children.
Yes, absolutely.
And officers will come out and it'll open an investigation. And the investigation, if it's found, whichever direction it goes, they'll act accordingly. So yes, some children have done that, but that's,
unfortunately,
their responsibility is to investigate, and after they come to the conclusion, the child is either remains in the home or is taken out of the home. This is something that we have to think about as teachers too, because we're mandated reporters, and all we have to, if we have a suspicion, child's coming in, it's 90 degrees outside, they got jacket on, clothes down to their feet, 4 pair or layers of clothes, suspicion is all that it requires, and we're mandated to report it. It opens an investigation.
True. A lot of times individuals don't realize being a mandated reporter, the role is to report, not to investigate. The police really don't even investigate. CPS investigate. They go to court. They have hearings. They do all of that. Your job is to report and then submit your written report.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Jeanette. Queen, did you want to add something before we move on to our next question? Did you want to add something, Queen?
I was just gonna say sometimes that road is can be a little tricky and you know, not very factual, being someone who's had to do that, you know. A lot of times, sometimes the investigations aren't supportive, or you know, the person who didn't do anything gets in more trouble than the person who did something, and they leave the kid in the house and then the kid is dead, or you know, something more traumatic happens. So I think, unfortunately, the even mandating reporting can be a slippery slope a lot of times, depending on the social worker and the burnout rate that social worker is at. That's why I said that everyone needs to be reevaluated with their job description and their capacity to do it.
Yeah.
And I want to say this too, that goes back to biases, because sometimes they can get a report, go out on a call, and if the parents say something to piss them off, they can take it personal and make that family's life a living hell. And that cause more harm to the family than they are trying to help the family. And then the social worker can become very judgmental, and their own childhood stuff can become a factor. So
that's a whole nother podcast. I can go in on that.
Oh, I believe you. I believe you. And see, I also worked as a court mediator investigator in Orange County. So I've seen a lot of that. I was a term provider. I've done a lot in the community, and I've done a lot of different things with working with parents and also educating social workers. Sometimes they don't like me and I don't care. But I'm firm, but I'm fair, and I'm honest. And I'm not going to write a report because you don't like that parent, or because that parent is a prostitute, or whatever the case may be, because they can turn their life around. But sometimes the social worker don't want to believe them, or they feel they got to forgive them. No, that's not your job.
Or side note, they provide more support to the, they call it
non-offending parent.
Well, foster parents, but they provide more support to keep the kids out the house than to reunite the kids with the family. But I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there tonight.
What were you going to say, Louis?
That's not all the way true sometimes. Sometimes it's best for the child not to be reunited with the abuser. Most of the time it is the parent or someone in that family that's the abuser. So why would anyone put a child or anyone with their abuser? It's good to take them out.
I mean, I do think there's always exceptions to every rule. Like, I do feel like, you know, that sometimes that, you know, there is help given to the foster family. But I think that there's, you know, the certain kids shouldn't be back with their parents. And it doesn't always happen that they end up going back with the parents. Sometimes they are pushed to stay with the foster family. I think it's a case by case basis, and it really does depend on the person who's doing it, because like if they do have the biases and they have that animosity, some people don't do what they're supposed to because they act out of emotion rather than other things. So
and then it does go back to what Miss Queen said. It's a mental thing as well, because the child is so they feel so indebted to their parent. No matter what you do, they're going to run back to the parent.
Yeah, and this is the thing I wanted to speak.
And that's just the truth.
Is the thing is, you can't give what you don't have, and you can't teach what you don't know. There's no such thing as a perfect parent. So when we talk about reconciling that relationship, even if you place the kid in a foster care and place them with a foster care parent, they're going to project that pain onto that foster care parent, because now they haven't addressed the trauma. One of the things that I know that they're doing, I know in San Diego County, I believe LA County, is a CANS assessment. What happens a lot of times with the abuse in the family is the lack of resources. Some of the parents don't know better. It ain't like they just want to abuse their kids, but it become a learned behavior. Some things is cultural. So then they don't learn, and they're trying to learn how to adapt. So if you take the child away, no, you don't want the child to be hurt, but you also have to educate and teach the parents. So one thing I don't do is I don't judge or make the parents feel bad for what they did, but I try to give them skills and tools to help them learn how to become a better parent
Right.
Nice.
and give themselves. Because you got to learn how to forgive, and they got to work
Mhm.
through that trauma. Otherwise,
Yeah.
that trauma don't go nowhere, and then they stay in the system. And it goes back to what the other young lady was saying. They emancipate based on age. That's all they know is mama, daddy. That go right back to that environment.
Mhm.
That's all they know.
Right.
Yep.
So then, what did you do as a system? You
Mhm.
just delayed it.
Yeah. Mhm.
Right.
Thank you, Miss Jeanette. Thank you, Luann. DJ Eddie King says, "Do you think some kids are out of control because of the era those parents choose to live?"
No.
I don't necessarily
No.
think it has to do with the area that they choose to live in, um, because I know some kids that are in not the best areas of Sacramento, and they're doing just fine. I do think that what can happen is when parents don't address their own trauma, they can inflict that on their children. I feel that a lot of parents choose not to address the trauma that they've been through because they may not even see it as trauma. They may say,
Right.
well, that's just how I was raised. That's just how it is. Not realizing just because you were raised that way doesn't make it okay. Doesn't mean that it's normal. And also because when you have to address the trauma you've been through, it's painful. And nobody wants, if when you addressing that trauma means you may have to go through that pain all over again. And some people are not willing to do that.
Right.
And I do feel that if parents really talk to their children about what they went through as a child and how they were raised, I feel like their kids would understand them better. And it would help their kids to understand why their parents do what they do and make the decisions they make. But yeah, I think it all boils down to trauma, that when parents go through certain traumas as a child, as a teenager, even as an adult, and they don't address that, they just, put it in the back of their mind as if it didn't happen, it will come out whether you want it to or not. And so when you have kids, that is one of the times when those traumas will present themselves. And so that's why it's so important to address the traumas that you've been through so those kind of things do not happen.
Correct.
Right.
Another young lady wants to say something, and I wanted to address the person's question.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Miss Jeanette. Here's what we understand. So personality is genetic, it's cultural, and it's there's a third one. It's genetic, cultural, and based on the environment. So kind of what Mr. DJ Eddie was saying holds true to some extent. But if your outside environment, outside of your home, and the inside of your home match in a chaotic kind of way, that's when the personality you start to mimic what they see. And genetically, because society is going to treat you how you look, how society views your skin tone, your height, your weight, your persona, that how people treat you as a kid, you start to reflect. And there's a little story, Punchinello, You're Special. It's Max Lucado book, children's book. And it talks about how, people give you the gold stars or the gray dots. The gray dots because, they think you're inferior. The gold stars because they think that you're superior in whatever capacity. And when a person knows their worth, and depending on your faith, how you get that worth, spending time with God or whatever it is, when they know their worth, the stars and the dots don't stick. It doesn't matter if someone's like, oh, you did so wonderful, or they're like, you're the worst. It doesn't matter because you know your worth, your value, and you're moving in that vein. And I think, for First Lady Tammy was saying, like, students and kids that are in that environment, their neighborhood, their community is less than savory. They probably have good supports, the ones that are well adjusted.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one of the things I wanted to say is you can live in a project, but not have a project mentality.
Thank you. That's what I wanted to say.
And,
Thank you, Miss
but by
Jeanette.
the same token, I grew up in Compton, but I ain't never been on drugs. I've never been in no gang. I've always a straight A student, single parent home. But by that same token, my mother said, and she instilled education. But what she did was she made me a threat and didn't realize it. But that was because she didn't have an education. So and even though, like I said, I am a therapist, I work with individuals from all walks of life, and I found that even individuals that are very affluent, they're lacking that emotional maturity. They have a sense of entitlement, and they commit better crimes. So it doesn't matter, because what happens is sometimes in the and they call it ghettos, which they don't understand, but in impoverished community, is they learn survival skills. So it's not an excuse, it's an explanation, but you got to be able to change their attitude to change their altitude. So that's
I like that. Thank
it's
you,
not where you
Mr.
at
Jeanette.
when you walk out, but because some people make it out.
Right.
That's right. Not
I
an
want to
excuse, but an
thank
explanation.
you
That's
so
a good one,
thank
Miss
you so
Jeanette.
much for saying that, Miss Jeanette, because that is so true. I totally agree. Just because you live in the ghetto, or you live in a rural area, or not so good surroundings, don't mean that your mind is there. Your
Correct.
mind cannot actually have to be there. Your parents, I know Miss M3 says genetics. Your parents can be both let me say this, drug addicts, alcoholics, but that doesn't mean that
You're gonna that's true.
that will necessarily 100% make you an alcoholic or a drug addict. You see these things and you can learn from them and say, you know what, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be a product of my environment.
Correct.
And if you're smart enough, and you don't even have to have support. You have your own self. That's the
But if
first
you
thing is
got
self.
somebody that
You
believes
are
in you
noticing
and
that
there's
for yourself.
resources,
You're noticing that you don't want to be like your parents or like the people that that you are surrounding. So then you find other outlets to get you out of that environment.
Thank you. Thank you, Luann. Thank you very much. Mrs. Jeanette, did you have one more thing you wanted to add before we go to our next question?
well, I just want to say resources. And see,
Mm-hmm.
when the resources become about money, it becomes about funding. And a lot of times it get abused. It get abused. Even when we talk about foster parents, when we talk about nonprofit organizations, we just have to be able to step out on faith sometimes. I
Mm-hmm.
tell individuals with motivation, determination, and God, you can do whatever you want to do, but you got to be able to willing to step out on faith. I didn't ask for this. And I tell people, they say, well, you know this. I know what I need to know when I need to know it.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to believe in yourself, even if nobody else believes in you.
Right.
And sometimes it's hard for a lot of people because it's easy to give up.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Thank you, Miss Jeanette. Thank you, everybody. I love the way our discussion just kind of flowed in a different direction. I love it. I love everybody's feedback. Does anybody have anything else they would like to add before we go on to our next question? Yes,
I was
no.
gonna say that I think also, when you do have the parents or someone at home to empower you not to get and they educate you on the elements in the neighborhoods, because sometimes a lot of kids are naive. Now, if you look at it now, a lot of these young girls are coming up missing because they're on Instagram or making these accounts talking, thinking they're talking to a 15-year-old and they're talking to a 40-year-old man. There was a girl in Brooklyn who ended up in a trash bag behind a dumpster 4 blocks away from her place, because it's also learning the elements around the neighborhoods and not sheltering kids or people to what goes on. Like you may smoke that Mary Jane with your friends, but you don't know if your friend laced it or not. That's what happened to DMX, and just because you can do crack don't mean I can do it. Like, my body's different. So it's also educating and not sheltering kids from what's going on in the elements and being aware. Like, I was very street smart and book smart. I got the best of both worlds. One, because I was number 5 of 6, so I watched a lot of my siblings, but I think that's very important as well.
Thank you, Ms. Queen. Thank you very much for saying that. I just want to address DJ Eddie King says, do parents need to take their children being bullied more seriously? I think just bullying in general, I definitely think they do. I think it's taken more seriously now than it was in the past. But it just depends. And he said that a lot of these kids are more dangerous than the adults. Yeah, I do
Can I
think so,
answer that?
to the extreme. They can take it to the extreme. These bullies can. So I definitely think that parents need to address any concern that their child has seriously and not just bypass it as, oh, my kid, she's just saying that, because that's the thing is, even if they are just saying that, that doesn't mean it's something that shouldn't be addressed.
Well,
So
let me let her speak, and then I want to on that a little bit. Yes.
Yeah. So after you, Miss Jeanette, Luann, because she has her hand up. Go ahead, Miss Jeanette.
No, I was going to let her go first.
Oh, go ahead, Miss Luann. Miss Petty Penny, you can go ahead.
Oh, I know you guys are going to say I'm crazy, but I think a little bullying is healthy. I am looking forward to my child getting bullied a little bit. It just makes you a little stronger. Now, when it comes,
So
to
what's a little bit of bullying?
a
When you
little
say
bit
a
of
little bit,
bullying, a little
what is your
teasing. Okay,
definition of that?
you need to get over it. Okay, don't come home saying, oh, someone pulled my hair. Okay, I don't want to hear all that. Okay, pull the hair back. I'm letting you know that right now. Okay, pull the hair back. Okay. Now, extreme to me is like, hitting, once they start putting their hands on you, once they start, yeah, I'm sorry, Hall of Fame. Yes, a little bullying is healthy. I used to get bullied and I used to be the bully.
Yeah.
Both healthy. Both healthy. You need to learn how to stand up for yourself. That's how you stand up for yourself. That's how you learn who you gonna be. Are you gonna be are you gonna be on the side table, or are you gonna be in the end table? I mean, come on now. A little bullying is healthy, but once I do believe if it starts to get a little physical, okay, then then I'm gonna need my child to go ahead and do what they need to do. But I just think that words these days, again, it starts at home. You should be teaching your children how to be a little bit stronger, so when they do get to school and some little person wants to bully them, that they'll be a little stronger to handle that. I know that sounds bad, but that's just my take on the little bullying thing.
I have something to say in response to what you said, but go ahead, Miss Jeanette. I have something to say.
What I want to say is, if that's your take on it, it's going to come with consequences. It's how you're teaching your child. So I respect that. But I'm going to say this, because you said the key word, you was also bullied. So what happens is, that's what happens in the home. I tell people I was a bully who bullied bullies, because I didn't like a bully, because I didn't like to see people getting hurt, because I saw at a young age the emotional damage it caused, because there's different types of bullies. You got the verbal bully, you got the physical bully, you got bullies now in the workplace. So some individual kids don't recover from that. And so what happens is, they can commit suicide. They can go off and hurt other people. So, I was 12 years old, 5'5", weighed 120 pounds. I'll be the grown folks at 10. But by that same token, it made me more dangerous to other individuals. So I had to be aware of that. So we got to listen to our children. And if our children is coming home saying that so-and-so is doing something, there's a difference between tattling, nagging, but you want to teach them coping skills. Not that it's okay to pull your hair, not that it's okay, I want to put you in the... We got to be mindful, because when your child go to school with a gun, or your child go to school, then the parents, that's why they want to hold the parents responsible. So we just got to be mindful of that.
Thank you, Mrs. Jeanette. I will say that there is a difference between playful teasing and being taken to another level, because even words can be a little much. And so you have to really talk to your kids so they understand what teasing is. Like, when they're in school and like in their elementary school, and this little boy, oh, he said this to me. My thing is that I'll address it, like with Amaria, I will address it the first time, and I'll talk to her about what she should do. If it's something continues, and even if it's these words that are continuing, that's not okay, and I'm gonna address that too. So my thing is, I want her to understand what she should say or do. Even with the pulling hair, if this is something she doesn't like, the other kids shouldn't do it, and she needs to let that be known. So, and even that takes strength to let that other person know, I don't like that, don't do that. And so I want to teach her to stand up for herself. But that's the thing, is that
Right.
If we don't even know what the kid is saying, how they're saying it, and then we don't even know what that child is doing, that makes them feel like it's okay to do that. Because I tell you what, if something happens with my child at school, it's gonna be a problem. I'll be up at school and it's gonna be a problem.
But see, I want my child to take care of it before I get there, because if I have to get there,
you probably want to know what's going on.
Then that's going to be a problem by the time I get there. So they need to take care of it before I get there. So that's if you're going to tell the teacher, if you're going to go tell the principal, if you're going to hit them, or if you whatever you're going to do to take care of it, I think that it should be taken care of first. You know, yeah, you may tell me, and I'm gonna ask you, you know, what happened and how you feel about it. What do you want me to do about it? I will ask those questions, but at the end of the day, if you are able to tell me what you want to do about it, then there's no need for you to sit here and keep complaining. I need you to go ahead and do it. Because if I have to come up to the school, I'm just going to act a fool.
Correct. Well, see, my question was, is the complaining the part? Do you think she's nagging and whining? Because a lot of times kids are going to do what they see in the home. It becomes a learned behavior. And they're going to handle problems the way they see you handle problems. I remember when I was in the
then my child won't get bullied then. If they see how I handle it, they won't get bullied. Trust me.
But then they'll become the bully. And when you see bullying kids, there's bullying parents. See, I remember I was in 5th grade. I hit a kid in the head with a violin. And I got sent to the principal's office, but I was a straight A student, so they always gave me a pass. My mother said, Jeanette, why did you hit that kid in the head with the violin? I said, because I thought they was going to hit me first. And I hit a boy. I fought boys and girls. It didn't matter. But it was because I grew up in a female, dominant, aggressive family. So now I have to learn how to twiddle my thumbs, keep my hands to myself. So I hear what you're saying, but I would just want to make sure, even with my grandkids, when my grandbaby came and said a kid was bullying her in the 2nd grade, was trying to take her shoes, my daughter and I went to the school because we needed to talk about that. But we learned that the child didn't have any decent shoes, and she looked at, so a lot of things, it can ruin their self-esteem. It really does a lot, because even as adults, we talk about how people were bullied as a child. Sometimes they didn't even work through that, because we can't go around, we go to jail now. Some people say, well, I fight kids. You don't want to be going to jail, and because it's their
oh no, I don't fight children. I may whoop their behind you.
No, I'm talking about the
I don't
child
fight
that may beat up your child.
Okay.
Because I know when I was in school,
but I understand,
my
Miss
mama was
Jeanette.
sitting right there waiting, saying, Jeanette, I got the mama. So,
but I will tell a story. I'm not going to say the person's name, but one of my nieces was getting bullied at school. And I think it was the 1st or 2nd grade. You know, she kept coming home, telling, her mom. And I got really irritated, because I was just like, like, go ahead. I'm telling her what, she should say to the little girl, or go tell, and it just kept coming. I said, you know what? I'm coming up to the school. Okay. I'm coming up to the school. Just forget it. No, Auntie, don't come. I came up to the school. I said, I already knew who the little girl was. I told the little girl, I said, come here. No lie. I wasn't bullying the little girl. I just told her, come here. I said, you see this little girl right here? Don't put your fingers on your phalanges. That's what I use, because that's what they're supposed to learn in the 1st grade. Phalanges. Okay. Don't touch her. Don't be mean to her. Don't even touch none of the other kids, because she was a big bully. And so she then wanted to be my niece's friend after that. She wanted to be my niece's friend. But then I met her father. I didn't even know it was her father. He was a bully, and I had to let him know. And so when I see him getting the little girl, I said, oh, that's why she wanted to be a bully, because you won. So I had to let the father know. Let me let you know something. This one right here. This child right here won't get bullied by your daughter. Okay. So sometimes it just takes you to go and just not to hit a child, but to show, a little bit like, look, don't touch them. Just scare them a little bit.
You give them that look. You give them that look. They know.
I gave her that. And I ain't even a mama, but I got that look, y'all. just that one look. The little girls wanted to be your friend real fast. Okay.
I think you also with bullying today is very different
It
Yeah,
is.
it
than
is.
5, 10 years ago. Like they're doing things that
Cyberbullying.
will follow these kids for the rest of their lives.
Mhm.
They're making slam pages. They're doing all kind of memes. And, you know, if your child is one, not emotionally equipped to deal with that,
Mhm.
that's why these kids are killing themselves. And that's
Mhm.
why, you know, you have Columbine where this kid has snapped, went to a
Mhm.
school and dang near tried to kill everybody in the school. And I think one, you also want to be, I mean, I've had nieces or, where I've had to go up, so I told my sister, because I'm technically the nanny. So I went up to the school, I called the principal and I said, hey, I would like to have a meeting with this person's parent. Because I'm never going to approach another child and tell them not to mess with my child, or because then you can go to jail. They're not playing these days.
Mhm.
If you tell a kid to hit another kid, that's a felony.
Mhm.
They're trying to send our kids straight to prison. Do you
Crazy.
not know that? If you tell a kid to hit another kid on the playground, they will get a
Mhm.
felony and that will follow them for the rest of their lives. It's not a joke. It's
Yeah.
very different. We live in a different world today. And these kids are being tortured for no reason. And then they're being ganged up on.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like you got kids, one school where the kids are, like they got bracelets for sexual acts. You're in elementary.
Mhm.
So
Um,
y'all doing it's all kind of crazy stuff going
mhm.
on these days that we never even had to think about as kids. We
Mhm.
played in the playground, we watched cartoons. These kids are adults from
Mhm.
the age of first grade, sometimes kindergarten.
Mhm.
It's
You know,
very different.
mhm.
It's
I want to
crazy.
tell you. Mhm.
And so
I want to tell you something.
you have to build their self-esteem up, but you also have to my mother never went up to the school to check because she told my father, you got to deal with that because I'm gonna go to jail. So my father was the one who was at home during the day. So he would always come up to the school because he was the most level-headed parent. And so it's okay, let's talk, blah, blah, blah. I had a kid that was antagonizing me and I beat him up after school. I got whatever. So he was always the one who said, you know, we're gonna have to talk about this, and we're not. I don't. He addressed the parents. Look, we all live in this community. I don't want no problems with you. I don't want no problem with Junior. So you tell Junior, you tell little Susie to leave my child alone, and we ain't gonna have no problem. It was
Mhm.
always one conversation. Never had to have another one. But I'm just saying, like, you never want to have that mindset because one, as brown people, we're not given the same fighting odds
Mhm.
at all. You got
Mhm.
little kids having temper tantrums at school, and they're being sent to this one little girl was sent to a mental health
Mhm.
institution for a week
Mhm.
because the teacher called
Mhm.
her.
Starts at home.
What?
Mhm.
No, the teacher, she was just having a bad day.
Yeah.
Kids can have bad days. I
Mhm.
mean, you know what I mean? But for us, it's not the same playing field.
Yeah.
And we have to be mindful of what we teach these little kids and what we show.
Mhm. I wanted to say, and I know I'm at the leave
Thank
pretty
you,
soon.
Queen.
I
Thank
wanted
you.
to show something that I sent my granddaughter in college. So you see where I sent her this little T-shirt thing I told her I was going to get for her. So I sent it to her, and I'm going to read it. It says, "Be careful what you say to me. My grandmama's crazy, and I'm not afraid to tell on you." So I told
I like
her
that.
mama, show this to Taina. She put laugh out loud. She gonna wear it. Then I sent to this other little thing with a granny sitting there with a shotgun. I said she'll be at college in Sacramento. Be like, "Hey, look at my granny sitting over there." It says, "Don't mess with me. I have a crazy grandma. She is also grumpy, an old woman, and I'm not afraid to use her." So I'll tell my grandkids, tell them my granny don't want me to catch no case. So I'm giving you a pass. So don't operate in fear. See, bully fuels fear. That's what they're trying to do. So I try to teach my grandkids, talk to them so that they're not afraid. And if it's that bad, baby, I got you.
Right.
So that's what I do, but I do it in a way to give them conflict resolution skills. Because, like I said, the skills you give them as a kid are the skills that they're gonna need as a teenager, as a young adult, and an older adult. I do the same thing my grandmama would do sometimes. Which one you want, the Bible or this? So this could be anything, no matter what's gonna take. But I tried my best to make sure, because like the other lady said, I work in the court system. I worked at the schools. I've seen it happen. And some of these kids get labeled as bad children. They're not bad, they're mad. They're frustrated. They're angry. And all they want is to know that somebody cares and somebody's listening to them.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Jeanette. Thank you, everybody who's giving feedback. So we're going to come to our third and final question, you guys. Our discussion has been really, really amazing.
I mean, dang, it was deep
We've
tonight.
only gotten to the third question. I mean, that's lovely. So we're going to get to this third question. And then I do want to give Miss Jeanette some time to talk about her business and, how she got started and where she's at now. And then we're going to have Miss Queen read a beautiful poem that she wrote and she's going to present. So before we get to you, Miss Jeanette, we're going to go around and answer this question. Are women leaders frowned upon? Why or why not? So I'm going to start with Miss Queen. Do you think women leaders are frowned upon? Why or why not? Miss Queen? Are you there?
Well,
we're gonna come back.
Can you
There
give me a minute on that question?
Yes, ma'am. I'll go ahead and go to Danielle. Do you think that women leaders are frowned upon? Why or why not?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay, so I'll come back to you too. I don't mind. I know.
Before you come back to me, I just want to say, I said, before you leave me, I just want to say with that last topic, you have to know your child. And for me, if it bothered my child enough to come home and say something to me, no matter how small it might be to me, my child is not me and I am not my child. And so if it bothered my child enough that my child needed to come tell me, absolutely, I'm taking it seriously. And since I'm in a predominantly Caucasian neighborhood, I do what they do. I write a letter. I'm not going to go and talk to you. I need what I'm going to say to be documented. So I'm going to write a letter. I'm going to email it to the principal, to the teacher, to the school district, and if it goes further, to the news station. You're not about to play with me. You are not about to label my child. And so to stop it from going any further, as soon as it starts, I'm going to say something.
Thank you for saying that, Danielle.
Emotion seriously. And just because you were tough enough to make it through it, don't scar your child like that. That's not fair.
Yeah, I like what you said about documentation is so important, because that is there, and that is something that you can use. When there's no documentation, it's more of a he said, she said kind of thing. So you want to make sure that everything is documented. Thank you for saying that. So I'm going to come back to you for that other question. I'm glad you took the time to respond to what we were talking about before. Thank you for that, Danielle. I'm going to go to Mrs. M3. What do you think? Do you think that women leaders are frowned upon? Why or why not?
Depends on the lens. That's the manosphere. Absolutely, there are no women leaders, only alpha male. But every woman, regardless if she's married, single, a mom, not a mom, every woman's capacity to lead is there because we're the mother of all things, right? Eve was given that title by God. So in her role as mom of everything, momager, she manages under the, hierarchies of spouse and God, but in the absence of either, well, hopefully she's not atheist, but if she is, she is. But in the absence of husband, she becomes the leader of her household. She becomes everything that her kids look up to for guidance. Her her job may require her to be in that capacity as well. And looking at our nation, we have a vice president that, for the first time, we don't hear about the vice president's doings. We have to search for it. She's a woman. They've sent her overseas. They're not following her much. I mean, some newscasts, but you have to really search for it. So she's not even in the country most of the time. She's taking care of things for the country, but we don't really hear much about the vice president in that regard. Is it because she's a woman? I don't know. Is it because nowadays we can stream things? I don't know. There's a lot of, things that can be like, nah, it's not because she's a woman. But when you think about it, just the history of how things are led and ran, you wonder. So I do think that in our society, women leaders are frowned upon. I think it's because of a stigma that we have, of the role of woman. But that role is defined by her surroundings, her beliefs, and the capacity of her household. If her household doesn't have a male figure there, then what does she do? She has to leave. So.
Thank you, Mrs. M3. So Melissa just joined us. Hi, Melissa. How are you doing?
Hi, guys.
Hi. So nice of you to come on in. I'm going to come to you in just a little bit. I'm going to go to our guest, Miss Jeanette, for this question. So our question is, do you think that women leaders are frowned upon? Why or why not?
I want to say yes. They're frowned upon because a lot of people are not ready for that yet. And it's because of history. It's because they look at women as being nurturing, emotional, beauty. They have not accepted the brains. But when you look at the home, it's ran by a woman. When you look at, and it's that fear. They're afraid, so they're not ready yet. And sometimes it's when you're dealing with your culture. Sometimes even as an African-American woman, and I'm in Orange County, I get frowned upon, but I have very good leadership skills to where I'm respected and I say what I mean what I say, but everybody don't like that, especially men. Because a man of a different culture is not going to like to hear what I got to say because they're going to think I'm just a black woman with attitude. No, attitude. So it's my altitude. I'm trying to take us all up there. So a lot of times, like I said, they are frowned upon because people are not ready yet.
Thank you, Mrs. Jeanette. Kris, what do you think? Do you think that women leaders are frowned upon? Why or why not?
I'm not totally sure. If they're not frowned upon for being leaders, it could be that they're frowned upon for maybe how they lead. I think sometimes possibly. So I'm trying to think of how I can say this. I might need you to come back to me so I get my thoughts together more. But I'm leaving it at that for now. Can you come back to me?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'm definitely come back to you.
Thank you,
Miss Luann Love. Do you think that women leaders are frowned upon? Why or why not?
I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to agree with everything that Miss Jeanette has said. I think that because women are just incredibly strong, no matter what race we are, but just because I'm African American, I'm just going to talk about African American women. But because we're just strong by nature, and can lead, I feel that we can be looked upon, just because of us being a strong woman.
Thank you, Mrs. Luann Love. All righty, Miss. Melissa, what?
Oh, okay, it broke up a little bit. So, okay.
Oh, yeah. Do you think that women leaders are frowned upon? Why or why not?
I mean, I think they are because it's just that something that, our society is used to. So anytime that you have like independent, independent thinker of a female or a strong person or somebody that has their own mindset or mind frame when it comes to a lot of things, a lot of times that's seen as not being able to be controlled. And we live in a society where everybody wants to, control people. And especially when it comes from a female, and you can't do that, and then you get hit with misogyny afterwards because you don't fall into that category of being, woe is me or whatever, like that whole debacle or whatever. So I do feel like it's frowned upon a lot. And then we get, flack for it all the time. So I
Right.
just think our society hasn't caught up to it, and we still have a lot of like antiquated views when it comes to situations like this. Whereas the society, like, you want everybody to thrive, and I just feel like you should want a female to lead, because a lot of times it's proven in a lot of different instances that when a female steps up to the plate, they got it and they can do it. So it's just like it can be kind of frustrating. And trust me, I can attest to this. It is frustrating. And even when you start a new job, it's like, who does she think she is? Like, I'm here for a reason. I just have to be here. And I'm equally as qualified, and I should be treated as so. But it's not taken very well. It comes from a female. It's not because they want to control, or they want to like keep you in a certain light or a certain way, and it's just like we're creatures of the universe, and we grow, we evolve, and everybody has their different wants and needs, and it's just that it's not seen very well when you can't disagree, especially as a female. It's not fair, but it's reality.
Thank you. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you for that feedback to that question. I'm going to go to Miss Danielle. What do you think? Do you think that women leaders are frowned upon? Why or why not?
Well, listening to everybody else, it sounds like it. So I have a horrible thing about me is that I kind of like stay in my own bubble. I don't really look at the world and how the world responds to things. But as you guys were talking and I'm thinking about it, I'm like, maybe they are, because if a woman is assertive or too strong, they tend to call her out her name when all she doing is doing what she should do in her position. And that's to be assertive, So perhaps I'm around all women being in nursing. Most of the time it's all women. And they're the leaders. So that's really all I know.
Thank you. Thank you, Miss Danielle. All righty. Kris, are you ready?
I was going to say, I think in the manosphere, I think someone mentioned the manosphere. I think the hardest part with them is that when sometimes the way that women lead, it's kind of perceived or received as women trying to push men out, women trying to be superior than men, trying to become the leaders to prove that they can do whatever men can do, if not better. But on the other hand, I feel I'm in the same boat as Danielle. I'm in accounting, and it's becoming fairly dominated by women in a sense. There are a lot of like female managers. Typically, the partners are male, which is like the highest space you can become in an accounting firm. And so I don't really see it too much where they're necessarily frowned upon. I think typically in careers where you're dealing with people, you're probably going to see a lot of female leaders because women tend to be more interested in people than they are things. And so I think it depends on the environment, the industry. But I think for the most part, if it is frowned upon, I think it's typically with the energy that's being given off, some type of superiority complex at times.
Thank you, Kris. CKQ is turning in. I want to say shout out to CKQ.
I'm sorry.
You can add to it in 1 second. Hold on 1 second, Melissa. So CKQ had something that he had commented on. He had said that I don't think that they are frowned upon. I think the characteristics that can be portrayed by said woman is what is unattractive to men. Respecting the woman's position and wanting her won't align. Okay, so that's interesting. That's an interesting point from a man. So that's an interesting point from a man. So I do like to get men's perspective on things because, you know, men and women, they think differently about things. So I do like getting a man's perspective on that. So he doesn't think that women are frowned upon. He thinks that
He's a man.
it's the characteristic. So thank you for that, CKQ. Appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. And Melissa, you said you wanted to add something to what was said.
I mean, I do, and it's like to like I know like who was it that said that? M3?
CQ.
CQ, and like also with Kris, I don't agree with that. The thing is that if you're told to do like a certain job and you're both doing the same job and you're both handling it the same exact way, I just don't understand why it can't be taken well by a female when they're doing it the exact same way as a man would do. And then we're doing the same thing, but then it's frowned upon. It's made it seem like, oh, we're developing certain characteristics, and that's why we get treated the way that we get treated.
Right.
And I think that's unfair because if you're going about the same situation as a man would do it in a work situation because that's what you're trained to do or you're taught to do it, why is it okay for a man to do it, but then when a female does it, then they're exhibiting certain characteristics that are not attractive or not seen. And that's what I don't agree.
Thank you, Melissa. Interesting. Thank you, Melissa. I appreciate what you just said. Thank you. Because I do think that sometimes the perception of things is different when it's a woman opposed to when it's a man. So very interesting. I like what you said, Melissa. Thank you for that. Okay.
Most men are going to say no. They're not frowned upon.
I think
that's what they're going to say.
I think if a woman is doing something the way a man would, of course the man wouldn't like it because you're not a man. But it's the same for women, though. Let's flip it around. If a man does something, but he does it in a way that a woman would, we definitely look down on that man. Like, why are you so feminine? Why are you doing that? So let's not just point at the men and be like, oh, if we do something like a man, it's a bad thing because we do the same thing. It is not okay for a man to be talking, using his hands, and be doing all of that. Because why are you doing that? Put your hands down. You're a man.
Right. He needs to put his
women shouldn't act like men, and men shouldn't act like women. To be assertive is not a man's characteristic. That is a characteristic of a leader. So you can be assertive and still be feminine. But if you're going to be assertive and be masculine, then I would think that that's what they're talking about. You have to find your own lane of doing a thing.
Correct.
That's right. Well said, Danielle.
Like everything is situational. That's what I was trying to get to as well.
A lot of times,
a lot of people talking.
Earlier, our defense.
Hold on. So we got a lot of people talking at the same time. Okay, so Melissa and then Mrs. Jeanette. What were you saying, Melissa?
I'm saying like again, like I agree with what Danielle just said, but I was just saying everything is situational. Like, you know, what happened? Luann looked away. I was just like, wait, what just happened?
I'm reading the comment. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was like, so again, everything is situational. But there's a thing because a lot of times women we suck a lot of things and we take a lot when it comes to a lot of situations. But it's like when we stick up for ourselves or we say something again, like I forgot who's the one that said that we called out of our names when we're just speaking up for ourselves because we know that we don't deserve that type of behavior. That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you. I think CKQ had said about when a man is dancing flamboyantly. He said it's the same way if a straight guy was dancing flamboyantly, wouldn't find it attractive. Yeah,
Right.
that is true. But of course, it depends on how he's dancing. So
Because
I'm
we're
saying,
gonna automatically think
What,
he
what,
is number
what,
one.
what,
We're not saying that he's not attractive. We're saying that okay, he might be gay. So our attention is not going to be on him if he's dancing like that.
Well, which makes him
what,
unattractive because if you're
but
straight, you're not going to be attracted to a possibly gay man.
right.
So he's, like
Right.
I said, it's not that women leaders are frowned upon. I said how they lead is frowned
Yeah.
upon, could be frowned upon.
Right.
It's not in what you do, it's in how you do it. Oh, sorry, it's in how you do it, and I think that's what he's talking about.
Oh.
Thank
what,
you, Chris.
No,
Thank you, guys.
exactly.
Everybody,
No, I understand.
hold on, Melissa. Hold on 1 second. So Miss Jeanette, and then Melissa will go back to you. Go ahead, Miss Jeanette.
one of the things I want to say is if we in the workplace, being attractive shouldn't have nothing to do with it. It's your leadership skills, no matter what your sexuality or your sexual orientation is. And sometimes our biases and our defense mechanisms come in. Sometimes with men, it reminds them of if they feel like they're being bossed by their mama or bossed by their wives, they don't want to go to work and be bossed by their boss. So they're projecting that onto their boss, and that's where some of that stuff be coming from. Because all of that other stuff, I wouldn't want to go to work. And I've had situations where I had employees that was attracted to me, and I had to set straight, firm boundaries. That's not why you a counselor for me. So it shouldn't matter if I'm attractive to them or not. It's based on, are we getting the job done, getting these contracts done, and you got food on your table and we making this work. So you don't want it to be abused. So like I said earlier, a lot of times with men, they have this thing that women become more emotional, but then women are very resilient. But even if a man is my boss and if he's flamboyant, as long as he's doing what he's supposed to be doing as my boss, I ain't worried about him being flamboyant.
Right.
That's just what
Right.
he do. That's just who he is. You my boss. I have to respect that. Not that I'm attracted to that or
Right.
attracted to you.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you,
Right.
Jeanette.
Mhm.
Okay, so Melissa, you had something else you wanted to add? Melissa?
No, it's well, and it's just crazy because like especially since I started my job like as a pharmacy technician, like I love it. I've always been into like the medical field, and besides the entertainment stuff and pop culture, I've always been into that as well. And it's also because I grew up like watching my mom watch all the different medical shows, the investigative channels, and like surgeries and stuff like on TV. So the thing is that like whereas predominantly like in my other job I was working with all women, so it's something that's not something that I had to really deal with. Like now I'm working again with like a co-ed situation, and it's like when it comes to like certain men like the other females, like I haven't deal with that. But then there was like a situation where and this guy, I'm gonna say he's a guy because he is like almost 10 years younger than me, but like I was new. I'm very eager to learn, and I want to do the best that I can do at my new job, obviously. So it's like you have to ask questions, you have to educate yourself, and it's like he didn't take that well at all. Like he started like being really nasty to me. He would give me really bad attitude, and then one time he yelled at me out of nowhere, and I was like, "Where is all of this coming from?" And it's because I felt like he felt kind of threatened because he felt like I was going to like take his job. But meanwhile, I'm new. I'm trying to prove myself. That's what you're supposed to do when you start a new job, a new endeavor. And then it's like I was telling like the other like pharmacists, like I want to do the license, so I applied for that. I want to take the classes to like get my license and my tech license and for immunizations, and then he was trying to convince me to do it. It's not worth it. And we're like, "Don't listen to him."
Oh, be careful, those naysayers. Be careful.
Yeah, and then also
Discouraging.
I was like, I don't like when people give me a hard time because I'm not that person. And I heard him underneath me like, "Oh, that's you're a bitch," and I'm like underneath his breath, and I was like, I'm not. I'm not very nice to everybody, but it's like also I'm not gonna take, also being yelled at and being nasty to me for no reason when all I've been is more than respectful and nice. And if you're gonna be nasty to me, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna go toe to toe with you. I'm just going to ignore it. because I'm not gonna go down to that level. So if that makes me a bitch, then okay, fine. But this is a place of work. I'm trying to learn and do the best to my ability. And it's not my fault that you feel threatened because I'm not playing to your wants and needs, or because you're frustrated or you like me and you don't know how to like say that. Like, that's not my problem or my fault or my issue. That's a you problem. Meanwhile, I'm fine with everybody else, and I was the same with everybody else. And again, and it's also like I've had conversations with other men, because when guys that do that, they're not being alpha males. Because when an alpha male is an alpha male, they won't do that to you. That he's being a beta. That's what it is. So then I had to be like, okay, but I'm not really doing anything wrong. So why is this happening? Because I'm not, like crawling under a rock, or I don't know. So that's what I'm saying. It's like that. It's of like when you like people say certain things like, oh, because of the way like like I think it's at the end of the day, it's just like bull, to be honest.
Is he your boss?
No.
He's just a coworker?
Yep.
Oh. Well, he could just be feeling insecure about his own job security. Ain't got nothing to do with you.
Exactly. But a lot of times, a lot of people don't know how to be true with their emotions, and they take it out on you. And they try to make it sound like you're not. Think is that he's again, and I spoke to one of my guy friends about it, and they were like, you're not doing anything wrong, is that he's just very insecure.
We can't hear you, Tammy.
Hold on, you guys. Hold that thought. CK just posted a comment that I want to read real quick, and then I'll let you guys finish. So he said, a woman's job and position is still respected, but sometimes women in these positions try to show that they are better than men in those positions, and a good leader doesn't need to do that. I mean, I can agree, if you're a good leader, your work will speak for itself. You don't necessarily have to, your work will prove that you are in the position you are in because you deserve to be there, not because you're a woman, but because you deserve to be there.
But I also feel like just because I'm your boss as a woman, if I'm asking you to do it a certain way, I'm not asserting myself saying, hey, I'm your boss. So I want you to do it the way I want to do it. I'm just telling you, hey, can you go ahead and do it? So men have a problem. I would say some men have a problem with women being their boss, or women just telling them what to do. They just don't want you to tell them what to do because you're a woman.
Thank you, Miss Luann. So we have a guest, Mr. Hall of Fame. I know you wanted to pop in and say something. What would you like to say?
That's right, because you've been ignoring my questions. You gotta realize who I am. You can't be ignoring
Absolutely.
my questions.
So feel free to speak your mind.
And I ain't cool. You know what I mean? You answer my questions. You know what I'm saying?
We're
I had to ask
past
like
the
5
2 hour
times
mark.
in the
So
chat.
come on.
You know what I'm saying?
Keep it
Like
going.
5 times in the chat. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so keep it going.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna keep it going. My question was, you know what I'm saying? Don't do me like that. Should the women lead the household? That was my question. You know what I'm saying?
I did see your question, but we don't have time to respond to your question, is what it is.
Yes, we should. Most of us do.
We really don't have the time because we're actually over our time right now.
I think we touched on it too a little bit at the beginning of the podcast. We talked a little bit about that in the first question.
Yeah. So we'll expand on that on another podcast, but for now we don't have time. But what I do want to have
just say this is wait, sorry.
Oh, okay. So I do want Mrs. Jeanette to go ahead and talk about her business, how she got started, and where she's at now, because I definitely want her to let us know about that. So, Miss Jeanette, please tell us all about your business and what you do.
Okay, like I said, my name is Jeanette Ebony, and I'm the owner of the Center for the Treatment of Addiction, located in Orange County, and I have offices in Fullerton, Garden Grove, Huntington Beach, And I'm also the owner of J.A. Precious Inc., which is located in Oceanside, and I have an office in Marietta. So I do a variety of different things. I do drug and alcohol groups. I do court-referred mandated programs, which is the domestic violence 52-week child abuse programs. I got started in this as I started off as a school bus driver. Then I went to school because I wanted to become an attorney, and I started studying law and law enforcement. So because of my strong personality, I was working for the county doing assessments and evaluations for nonviolent drug offenders. I got fired 3 times in 1 year. And what happened was they were very intimidated by me, but nothing I could do about that. But just make sure I did the right thing no matter what. I wind up buying a program or a company for my daughter as she was in college studying to business finance. I, at the time, was working as a court mediator investigator. When I bought the company, I didn't realize the company I bought had contracts with the company I got fired from. So they did not like that. So they tried very hard to put me out of business. Didn't work. I'm still there and been there for 16 years. And I'm also now president of CADVOC, which is a correlation. CADVOC, which is a correlation for domestic violence in Orange County. Tony, please turn it down. So with that being said, I then bought a sister company or started a sister company. Now, I didn't have any business background, any of that. Like I said, my degrees was in psychology and in administration of criminal justice. But I enjoy doing what I do. I am a licensed therapist. I also have a podcast, which is called Precious Predicaments on Blog Talk Radios, on all kind of things. If you Google Jeanette Abney podcast, and I talk about a lot of different things. So what got me started, like I said, to be on a business owner wasn't something that I asked for. But once I got into it, I wasn't going to let someone take something from me. And I just enjoy doing what I do, working with kids and individuals from all walks of life. But if you want to connect with me, you can go check my email address out. I email my website at JeanetteAbneyLMFT.com. Or you can Google my name, Jeanette Abney. I am on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm not big on social media stuff, but I do have a passion for this. But any other questions? Because I know I do have to go.
I would love to talk to you be through text or whatever you're comfortable with to see how you were able to do everything that you're doing now.
No problem. You know what? And I tell people, success is not based on how successful you are. It's helping other people to become successful. I remember when I bought a company, I didn't know an LLC from an S Corp to a C Corp. I bought a book that was written by Earl Graves entitled How to Succeed in Business Without Being Black. So every time they would say something or do all this, I didn't have the money to open up a business. I didn't have any of that. I just stepped out on faith and it just happened for me because I guess I was where I was supposed to be when I was supposed to be there. And I've also wrote about that because I've co-authored 2 books. One of them is called The Making of a Successful Businesswoman, and the other one is called Girl, Get Up and Win. So I'm not even one that want to sit down like the other lady would. When your book will come out, my book probably wouldn't have never came out if I wouldn't have co-authored it. And I wrote 2 books with 2 chapters in 3 hours at the last minute. So, but the thing is, if you have that drive and you have that motivation and that determination, don't let the naysayers or even your family member tell you what you can't do. Because sometimes they're afraid for you, but you can't operate in fear. But if you want to get in touch with me, and if you want to write this down, my personal cell phone number is area code 760.
Wait. Let me get a pen. Sorry, guys. Wait, hold on. I'm just even surprised that you're even giving your full number on this stream real quick.
Hold on. So, Mrs. Jeanette, you go ahead and inbox me your number, and I can give it to anybody in the stream that wants it. It's fine.
That is safer. You don't want,
Yeah, if you in Messenger, you can just send me your message in Messenger. Yeah, and I'll pass it along. Thank you.
You'll find who I am and all my locations and all that other stuff. All you gotta do is type in Jeanette Abney.
Thank you so much.
I don't mind helping and encouraging and empowering other women. Don't have a problem with that.
Thank you so much. So Good. I'm not. Okay, so I just want to pause real quick. I told you guys my mom and my brother are visiting. I'm going to have them get on camera real quick. And I told my mom not to have me looking crazy when I tell her to come over here. I want her to say hello. So, Mom, come over here and say hello. So, everybody, this is my mother. This is my mother. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Mama.
Hello, beautiful.
You look so much like your mom. You look so much like your mom.
Yeah, Tammy, you look just like your mom.
I know.
I'm her twin. Thank you. Okay, so, and then my brother. Come on, JJ. Come on, JJ. Come on. Get in the camera. No, come on.
Hi,
now.
little baby. I see you there too.
I told everybody you were coming. Can you get in the camera, please?
We want to see you.
Don't have me looking crazy. Okay, so this is my brother. This is my brother. Yes.
Hi, brother.
Nice to meet y'all.
Yeah, so he's visiting. So he lives in Germany, but he flew into Maryland with my mom, and then they both came out here. So yeah.
He lives in Germany. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Where?
Living in Munich.
Wait, what?
He lives in Munich.
Munich, Germany. Is
Munich? Oh, okay.
Thanks, JJ.
Wow, that is so cool.
And then my mom's friend is also over here. Come on, see, you playing around. See, everybody's here and they get to hear me on the stream. So I want her to say hello. This is Yolanda. This is one of my mom's best friends.
Hi.
Yes.
Good
So
to see you guys. I'm gonna have to start watching your lives.
yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, thank you guys. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Okay, so we can take me off the spotlight.
I'm about to bring my brother over here. Just be like, hey, you want to come? I'm just kidding.
Okay,
I
so
love your
guys-
pictures, Tammy.
Huh?
The background pictures. You have a nice
Oh, yeah.
scenery back there now.
Thank you. Yeah, that's my mom. Okay, so real quickly, so Queen wanted to do a poem. So
Yes.
we're gonna spotlight her real quick because she's gonna do a poem right before we end our live for today. So go ahead and Queen.
Y'all ready? No, stop.
Yeah.
Yes,
So I used to write poems all the time. I haven't written a poem in like 10 years. So this is the first poem I wrote in 10 years. And it was cool. Hopefully you like it. Okay. It's called It's Me. My worth is not measurable by others or placed under a glass to be validated, authenticated by your jeweler, to place their value on me. It's me. My diamond shining pure, originally free. It's me. My worth, no scales can hold me. Telling me about me. It's me. Who's you that your number, value, tag should be attached to me, placed on my back, setting limits on me? It's me, never we, only me. Your pen caressing my skin, attempting to correct me. No, no, never. It's me. No highlighting needed, no correction tape invited. No whitening me out, attempting to cover up an unblemished me. It's me. My worth is me.
Thank you,
That was
Queen.
dope. That was dope, Miss
Beautiful.
Queen. Miss Queen, that was dope.
Yes.
Hold on, let me do my sound effect. I gotta do my sound effect. Hold on, I gotta do my sound effect. If my phone
Queen,
decides
can you
to
send that to me so anytime I have a hard time, I could just like tell that to myself?
Sure.
Me
Because
too,
it's
Queen.
me.
That's right.
Yeah, send it to me too.
We're gonna have the sound
Send it to
effect.
all of
We're
us.
gonna have the applause. Here we go.
Yes.
Yes. You gotta have the
That was
applause.
really beautiful.
Yes.
So I tapped into that Deaf Poetry Jam vibe. I used to watch that show all the time.
Thank you.
You
Okay, so you guys. So it is it is after our 2-hour mark. It's 2:16. Real quickly, we're gonna spotlight everybody so you can shout out your social media, and then we're gonna go ahead and end it for now. But Luann, I think she wanted to say something real quick. Go ahead, Luann.
I want just to bite on what Queen said.
Mhm.
I have the whole Def Jam CDs. Thank you, Tammy. She bought it for me for my birthday. And you guys, y'all have to look at one of the poems. Tammy, what's his name? He's the one said about the boo boo in the he farted in the tub.
I can remember.
Y'all have to go watch
I know what his
season 2.
name is. I'll look him up and I'll let everybody know. No, Def
Please,
Poetry.
we will let y'all know because it's the most funniest poem I've ever read. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and spotlight each person. Like shout out their social media. We're gonna start with Miss Kris.
I can do it here. Hello, my name is Kris. I am on YouTube at the Blooming. Oh, there we go.
Right.
You can find me on YouTube, the Blooming Ebony. I talk about femininity, growth. This week has been about vulnerability and how that affects your relationships. And then we'll be going into ego pretty soon here. And you can find me on Instagram at the Blooming Ebony as well.
Thank you, Kris. Thank you. All righty, we're gonna go ahead and go to Danielle.
Hi, my name is Danielle. You can find me on Instagram at Fly Nurse Mom Wife. Here on Saturdays, Mondays, and Thursdays with knowledge and relationships, and on YouTube at my own page, A Sip of Dee, where I discuss many things. I don't have just one topic. I'm willing to discuss anything because I have an opinion about everything.
Thank you.
At least you're being honest.
Thank you. We have Queen. All righty, Miss Queen. You had the lovely, beautiful poem. Thank
you. You can follow me on Instagram at Queen Forever 2K21 and the Knowledge and Relationships platform on the Ladies' Night. And that's about it.
Thank you, Queen. Next, we're going to Melissa. Alrighty, Miss Melissa.
Okay, so I changed my YouTube name, so now it's M&S Angel 91. So anytime anybody wants to look that up, it's going to be M&S Angel 91. And I'm so excited because a video that I'm going to post soon, I didn't get to tell everybody, but me and my friend were going to be doing a mukbang of a crab boil. So hopefully everybody can tune in to watch that. I'm very excited about that. And everywhere else, you can either find me like on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Melissa Natasha Stewart or M&S Angel 91. Very easy. But I'm really excited about the crab boil. I hope everybody likes it and enjoys it because I'm going to post it on my YouTube channel.
Thank you, Melissa. Alrighty, we have Mrs. M3.
That's me. Hey, everybody. You can find me here every Saturday from 5:30 until 7:30. We hope that you enjoyed our podcast today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Ciao.
Thank you, Mrs. M3. And then we have Miss Luann Love, otherwise known as Miss Petty Penny.
Hi, I am Miss Luann Love. You can find me on my Instagram at Ladybug5150, my Facebook, just Luann Love. Melissa, I want to say to you, the only reason why I will be mad about the crab boil is because I'm not invited, because I'm too far. Miss Queen, I really loved your poem. Please make sure you send it to me. And I'm happy that everyone was here today to watch us. Oh, and my my baby is having her puppies. I will live stream it.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that's nice. Awesome.
I will.
I am the last. So I am your host, First Lady Tammy. Thank you for tuning in. Definitely make sure you like the video. Make sure you share the video. Make sure you subscribe to Knowledge and Relationships. I am here on Mondays and Thursdays with Knowledge and Relationships. I'm here, of course, hosting Ladies Night on Saturdays at 5:30. I also am doing a vlog of my cryo slim journey. I'm doing that, and I'm doing new episodes every couple of days, just updating how the journey is going. So I just want to say one leadership thing I'm doing in my school that I work in is I'm the only Black teacher at my school. And so I am going to be directing the BSU program at my school. The BSU, for those who don't know, stands for Black Student Union. So I'm super excited about that. Told the principal I wanted to do that. He was very excited about that. So I'm very excited about taking that leadership position in my school. But yeah, I'm on. I have, and you can find me on Instagram at First Lady Tammy 916. So other than that, that's it on there. So thank you all, ladies. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope you guys all enjoy. Oh, and I want to thank our guest. This is just, she was awesome and amazing. I absolutely love that she came on. She has so many amazing, great things to say, and I love that she talked about her business. It was just awesome and amazing. And then for the people that commented, CKQ, DJ Eddie King, Mr. Hall of Fame, MarioMarion, all the people that commented, Gator Girl, everybody commented. Hopefully I didn't leave anybody out. And if I did, I do apologize. But thank you for tuning in. And don't forget to like and share and subscribe. So with that, we're done.
DJ